new information in the case of Sarah Grace Patrick, the teen who allegedly shot and killed her mom and stepdad in the middle of the night, then posted.
Wow. Wow. I don't know what else to say, but wow. These kids we're losing them, man. We're losing our children today. I'm trying to keep mine away from all that, trying to keep them away from everything. I'm just trying to keep them away from it. But what's up? It's your boy Stevie83, and I'm back with another react. You know what I'm saying? Today, we're reacting to, you heard it. You heard what we're reacting to. I don't even want to say it no more, it's so disturbing. But this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. We do not want any kids seeing this and thinking it's okay. I do not condone any of this in this message. I just posted to react to it, to get it out there, to make sure it's seen by others, the people that I know, the people that follow the same mind as I want to follow. But we're going to get into her story today. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I need you, man. We're pushing for 5,000 subscribers, man. We're almost there. We're pushing for 5K. It's the push for 5K. Let's get it. Let's go. These people crazy.
About the case for months on social media. She also gave a speech at the funeral.
I just wanted to say goodbye to my mama and Jamie since we never got the chance to.
That is a speech that raised red flags for certain members of the family.
Being front row at that funeral, she never shed a tear.
I spoke with the family of Sarah Grace's stepdad, James Brock, what his niece wants you to know about Sarah Grace Patrick.
She's not the Sarah that you guys know. You don't see the real Sarah.
And for the first time, we are hearing from Sarah Grace's biological dad, the man who drove his daughter to turn herself in on 2 counts of murder.
I just want to say, first of all, that a lot of people deal with that. Like what you see in your home, a lot of people don't see. I understand that people don't know the real person till you get in behind closed doors of your house. I've dealt with that growing up with my father, dealing with his problems, and his brother and them, his sister and them, they didn't know the real him. It was fine family man when he was around other people, but when we got home, that's when the demons came out. That's when the real him came out.
The girl who is accused of causing it. I'll have that full interview in just a moment, but we also have some new information on this case that I want to get you. Sarah Grace's biological father is going public with his thoughts since his daughter's arrest. Before I get to that, I want to get you caught up on this case. There has been a lot of developments in just the past week. This is Sarah Grace Patrick. She is 17 years old, the suspect in this case.
So she's going to get tried as an adult.
Back on February 20th of this year, her mom and stepdad were found shot dead in their bed inside their home in Carrollton, Georgia. And these are the victims: James, who many call Jamie, and Kristen Brock. Not only
rest in peace to their family and to anybody that was affected by this heinous crime. We don't know what's in our kids' minds when it's going on a daily basis, but I hope you know your kids well enough that this don't ever happen to anybody else. I hope and pray that it doesn't. This is sad, but if my teenage daughter did that, I wouldn't want her blabbing it all across the internet and putting it all on the news, and I want to keep it as hush-hush as possible.
Was Sarah in the house the night of the murders, but also the couple's 5-year-old daughter, who law enforcement say found her parents shot dead. In the weeks and months after the murders, Sarah Grace was very public with her feelings on social media. She posted regularly on TikTok, mourning the loss of James and Kristen, and she also spoke at their funeral.
Never take a hug or anyone or anything for granted, in love with all that you have in you like they did. And lastly, not taking people for granted. I want to thank my family, also known as my cattle fam, my grandparents, my siblings, Julie, Johnny, Jaden, Jojo, Trent, Tristan, Ashley, and Jesse for helping me get through my worst nightmare.
Oh my.
And last but not least, I want to thank Tasha, Bree, Nate, Lane, Kimberly Hayes, Kim Bowling, Katie, and most of all, my father, Angie, and Ben for making such a big difference. Jamie and Mama would have thanked y'all too. I love you guys, and so do I. And so do they. I'm sorry.
You heard her give a list of people at the end that she was thanking for their support. And you also heard her say, quote, sorry at the end of the speech. We spoke to the spokesperson for the Carroll County Sheriff's Office who told us to her that was a red flag. It also was a red flag for certain members of James Brock's family, and you'll hear about that momentarily. It was just about a week ago that law enforcement announced they had made an arrest in Jamie and Kristen's murders after roughly 5 months of investigating in the name of the person they say did it, Sarah Grace Patrick.
Today, we can confirm that an arrest has been made in the case. Kristen Brock's 17-year-old daughter, Sarah Grace Patrick, has been taken into custody and charged with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault.
Ladies and gentlemen, said that Sarah Grace's biological father drove her to the sheriff's office after she was told that she had warrants out.
At least she turned herself in and didn't go on this big chase and all this, because that just adds more charges onto you, and it adds a level of time. Like once you get sentenced or once you get in trouble, the main key is to hurry up and get to the penitentiary so you can get your time started. Like, the sooner you start it, the sooner you get it done, they say.
For her arrest. Her dad is now going public with his thoughts on his daughter being accused in this double murder. He put up this lengthy post on Facebook that says in part, quote, "I just want to go on the record and say I know everybody is talking. Many people were talking about things that they don't even know. They are just talking and writing about stuff that is completely false." He goes on to say, "My daughter is 100% innocent. If you want to talk to anybody about me and my daughter's relationship, come straight to me. I'm not hiding. And I don't want all of the attention like everybody else. February 21st, I had to come home and tell my son that his mother and stepfather were dead. It was the hardest thing I ever had to do until I had to take my daughter to the sheriff's office. I did not turn her in. She voluntarily went there because of the warrants. She has nothing to hide." Law enforcement has said they have a, quote, their words, mountain of evidence against Sarah Grace.
Okay, and now in today's age of technology, with DNA, with fingerprints, all that stuff upgrading, more and more technology, they got enough evidence and they're calling it a mountain. Then she's probably screwed, man. They're going to try her as an adult. I don't know what like if they carried a DP. I don't want to say the words, but you put it together. But this young lady's got a long time ahead of her now thinking about what she done. Because when you get, ultimately, once you get into prison, once you get past all the and the check-in list and all that stuff, make sure your paperwork's clean and all that, all you got time to do is sit down and think about what you just did. Think about how you could have did it better. Think about how you could have did it and not got caught. Think about how you could have did it and got away with it. Thinking about how you shouldn't have did it. Thinking about how you shouldn't have did it. Thinking about how you and it goes on and on and on and on. I spent dang near 2 years in lockup in solitary confinement. 19 and a half months straight alone by myself. Nothing but 1 or 2 books, and they don't let library don't come but once a month in the lockup. So you might get a book once a month. So if you just thinking is what I'm getting at. You just think.
Patrick. But at this point, they have not revealed what specific evidence they have in this case. They also have told me that they're currently interviewing potential suspects and more arrests are possible. While Sarah Grace's dad and her grandfather on her mom's side, who we spoke to, are standing by her, and he says that he believes she's innocent. Her grandfather also told me that he has spoken to Sarah in jail and she is maintaining her innocence. The family of James Brock, her stepdad, is now giving their side to the story. I spoke to Jamie's niece. She is now speaking on behalf of her side of the family, and she had a lot to say. Join us now to talk a little bit more about this case is Kristen Dowda, who is Jamie Brock's niece. Thank you for joining us on Law and Crime. I know it's been a lot over the past several months, but especially in the past week or so. What was your reaction when Sarah Grace was arrested?
I can't say I was totally shocked. We had suspicions of her, but I guess overall I felt relieved that hopefully, we're going to get justice in this case. The investigators have done so much work over these 5 months. I'm confident that they've gone through everything and to get this arrest, I don't think it's to get 4 warrants too, being for murder, makes me feel like they have enough, to have made this arrest for a judge to have signed off on it. So I'm confident we'll get justice in this case now.
And you believe that she is the person responsible for the murders of Jamie and Kristen?
I do.
She looks hopeless in her eyes.
Was there a moment over the past several months where you kind of reached a point in your head where you felt like she would be the person responsible?
It's pretty much from the beginning,
I thought so.
The gunshots, of course, that's the big one that left something in everyone's head. How did you not hear the gunshots? It's record now that it was more than 4 shots. It's on record now that the 5-year-old in the house heard them.
I mean, I know you go back to it because this is your family, but just the fact that she found her parents just really, I think anybody
terrible,
watching this story, it's something that's just so difficult. In going back, I mean, the house, let's go there. And I know you've been in the home. What is the makeup of it?
So the house was very small, and all of the bedrooms are located in the same area.
Who cares?
It's not, to my best guess, maybe 8 feet from Jamie and Kristen's room to Sarah's room. Like I said, we know for a fact there's a minimum of 4 shots that were fired. He was on an LVAD machine, and if you've never heard one, it is so loud. You can hear it from outside. It's that way for a reason. It's meant to tell you that something is very wrong with your heart. And like I said, that the 5-year-old in the home heard the shots. And so that's a lot of noise for a small space and for the rooms to be so close. I don't think the TV being on is that relevant.
And there's been a lot, and I know you were there, the funeral for your uncle and Kristen, and the speech that Sarah gave, this eulogy.
Jamie and Mama would have think.
Now, this is a fake eulogy. This girl gave this eulogy. Like, you got to be a sociopath to even do this, right? Like, how do you know you offed your parents, but yet you could get up here and speak about them in a loving and kindly manner? That takes a messed up person, right? How y'all feel about this? Let me know in the comments.
Bruh. Y'all too. I love you guys, and so do I. And so do they. I'm sorry.
What was going through your mind?
I'm sorry. Like,
not only because I know
I'm sorry. Why would she say I'm sorry though? Like, sorry? Why are you sorry?
Bruh. They're mourning the loss of your uncle and his wife, but what was going through your mind as you watched that speech?
It was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. I had my best friend with me, and we were just staring at each other the entire time. What is this voice that she's doing? That it sounds like crying. Sure, if you heard of an audio of it, sure, she's crying. But being front row at that funeral, she never shed a tear. She didn't stop. She didn't think about what she was saying. It was a scripted speech. I wouldn't call it a eulogy like people are calling it. It was a speech where she did shout outs at the end of it.
I want to thank my family, also known as my Catafam, my grandparents, my siblings, Jaylee, Donnie, Jaden, JoJo, Trent, Tristan, Ashley, and Jesse for helping.
That's a shout out. Sure enough, that's a shout out, bro.
Helping me get through my worst nightmare. And last but not least, I want to thank Tasha, Bree, Nate, Lane, Kimberly Hayes, Kim Bowling, Katie, and most of all, my father, Angie, and Ben for making such a big difference.
She shout out probably 15 names at the end.
At the time, and I know it's been brought up now, but she said sorry.
Sorry. Yeah,
at the time, did that send off a red flag for you?
Oh, of course.
It did. But what was even worse was afterwards when she went person to person in our family and said sorry.
What?
What's worse than that is that for 5 months straight, she contacted.
I cannot get that over my head. Could you guys imagine going to each and every person at the funeral, at the wake, going up saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your loss. not thinking about herself, but saying, I'm sorry.
My mom several times
Get her
went
out of
and
here.
said that she was sorry. And her exact words, sorry that Mr. James is dead. Sorry that you don't have Mr. James. Sorry that your brother died. I mean, it went on and on and on.
She called him Mr. James?
Apparently.
That's it.
I never heard her call him that until these text messages with my mom. She said that she had started calling him dad recently. Yeah, I mean.
Well, that's a good sign, like they're progressing.
What interactions did you have prior to these murders with Sarah Grace Patrick?
I wasn't around her a ton. You know, here and there, birthday parties or going to the house.
Teenagers aren't around their parents a lot. My daughter is 14,
not a lot,
and she's never around us. She's always in a room or something, doing something else. She don't want to be around us.
Of interaction, but every time I was around her, you know, she was a sweet girl. She was. She was welcoming to everybody. She spoke to everybody. She's, you know, soft spoken. She always appeared nice.
Is there anything now, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that you've thought over and over again in all of this, but even before the murders, is there anything that was a red flag to you that in talking to your uncle about Sarah Grace that sticks out now?
What sticks out now? Yeah. He said repeatedly that she's not the Sarah that you guys know. You don't see the real Sarah. And so now looking back, that haunts us. You know, should we have asked more questions? But
of course,
we would always tell him, you know, you've never raised a teenage girl. You know, this is normal teenage behavior. You know, if she's acting out or,
that's
you know,
what
she
I said.
was sneaking out of the house to meet boys and stuff.
What? At 14? My daughter will not be doing that.
It didn't really seem like a red flag at the time.
Was there anything beyond that? Like, what was their relationship like, or it seemed like from the outside?
You know, like I said, you know, they were having trouble as far as, you know, she was a teenage girl. She wanted to do what she wanted to do. And, you know, they didn't always agree with her choices or, you know, allow her to see her boyfriend when she wanted or, you know, to, you know, obviously to sneak out or to go anywhere she wanted. You know, obviously that was a thing, but that's something that you don't really think of being a red flag. You know, that's typical teenage behavior normally.
Yeah, unless somebody tells you, hey, look, I'm putting a flag on
I mean, especially if, you know, now that she's accused of murder, you know, that's something that's just, it's so difficult to come to grips with, especially looking, of course, at the social media and the digital footprint that she left behind. What sticks out to you? Because clearly she's been accused of this, but now when you look back at any of those TikToks, what sticks out to you?
You know, I didn't really have to go back and look. I haven't gone back and looked at many of the videos because I was looking at them in real time. And it was always super weird. You know, she made that TikTok right after the murders and she started posting all of these videos about how much she missed them and she wanted to go back to her house and she didn't have her phone and she wanted her stuff. And that kind of goes along with it always being about her, you know, and the interviews that
that's the parents' fault. The parents shouldn't have raised her so selfish.
Come out now, it's still about her, you know. It's why are they doing this to me? Why is this happening to me? The most recent that she doesn't like the jail food, you know, it's always about her.
Yeah.
And
you're gonna have to
did she ever, or I guess what type of communication?
They definitely don't care if you like it or not. They're gonna slam it on that tray and you're gonna take it.
Did your family, you know, whether it was your mom, and I know Sarah Grace had texted with her a lot, but I mean, how often was she interacting, I guess, as recently as last month? Or
no, that's what she was after. She told my mom that she really wanted her sheets. You know, to me, that's not what I would be looking for, you know.
Who wants sheets?
Did she ever share with your mom or say anything about what she thought happened that night?
Yeah, she, you know, said that it could be some friends of theirs or it could be someone that they knew, or she has said that it had to have been somebody they knew.
Oh, of course.
Because they knew the layout
100%.
of the house. They knew what door to come in, you know. She hasn't ever been really specific, but she has thrown out a few theories. Yeah.
In those communications, and I know there's only so much you can share, and there's, you know, clearly a criminal case that's playing out here, and there's a lot of unknowns, but from her story and what she told your mom, how consistent was the story that she told your mom about what she experienced that night?
The story was never consistent. It changed in a million different ways. She never told the story the same way twice. She would take things out, she would add things in. You know, my mom was keeping a mental record of things that, you know, could help the case as far as what she said, and not blaming her, but, you know, just trying to get answers. And then she would change the answer, you know, she would change what happened. You know, it was a revolving door of what happened.
And when I look at the social media and the TikToks when they were still up there, you know, she's certainly sad. There's no doubt in the TikToks, but I noticed she never talked about being afraid. And this was someone who
she will be when the
claimed
big
that
gates slide
someone comes
open
into her house and executes her mom and her stepdad. But there's never this kind of call. There's a lot of memorializing, but then not a lot of calls for action other than maybe reaching out to the TikTok creators. Did she ever say anything to your mom, and you know, even you, any communication you had about just the fear of there being this, in her mind, this person who is out there that would have done this?
Not really, no.
She's not scared because she knows she did it. She knows there's no one else going to come harm anybody else. There's no one else after her. That just shows you she did it.
You know, she didn't seem to be afraid. She never said online she was afraid. She certainly wasn't afraid to post, and to post where she was, and to post details of her life. And
that's not,
you know,
look, we learned this time and time again. You never drop your location.
Oh, I would be terrified of that. And
keep your location
before,
on your phone,
you know, right after
off.
the murders, you know, I didn't even want my mom to post. I said, you know, you don't need to post. You don't need to have pictures or anything. I know that you want to find who did this, but they're still out there, and you don't know. I mean, is this a dangerous person? You know, we don't know. And she definitely did not feel the same way, you know.
Looking at your social,
they just off somebody. What do you think is a dangerous person?
Social media, especially on the day that it was announced that Sarah Grace was arrested and was charged with this. You know, you've been very vocal, and it seemed like it was almost a release for you to see her mugshot, to put it out there. What was the emotion for you when you saw that mugshot for the first time?
It was a relief because, you know, you can't say what you're thinking. You can't say that you suspect her. And you know, a big thing is you don't want her to know that you suspect her, because you want her to keep talking. And if she's going to, you know, dig her own grave, then let her. And, you know, if it's not her and she has information about someone else, let her talk. Let other people talk, you know. If we were to say something and point fingers and, you know, anything like that, it could have deterred what other people came out to say, or the investigation. And we didn't want to do that. But yeah, I mean, I would be lying if I said that I didn't hold on to that funeral video and knew that one day that I'd be able to post that and say, now you can see what I had to watch with my own two eyes. Now
that's
everybody
crazy,
can see it.
Right?
What would you say to Sarah Grace if you were to see her again?
That's probably a loaded question. Haven't thought about it. But, you know, I guess just speaking for my entire family, you know, we're glad this happened, you know, and we want to see justice play out. And I think, I'm very confident that they've done the work to prove that this was the arrest that needed to be made. And if they
got a mountain of evidence,
their past was relevant, then, you know,
you got to see
I
how
don't
much
think this would
time
have
they
been the
give her.
outcome that the arrest that was made.
Well, Kristen Dowda, thank you for taking the time to be with us on Law and Crime.
That's going to do it for us today, guys, man. That was a long one, and I'm sorry they're going to be about this thing. We got to get these 4,000 hours done, man. We got to get them done. But make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about this little girl and how she did her parents. Do you think she was right? Do you think she was wrong? Just let me know how you're feeling about it. That's all I know. Just let me know how you're feeling about it. I personally want to know how y'all are thinking. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace!